All right, you're not going to see epic gameplay. You're not going to see smart decisions. What you're going to see is a man struggling to discover what truth means and the path to victory. So the way this works is you're presented with a bunch of heroes in the beginning. You have to choose 2 of them. So in general, there's a few things that I try to keep in mind. First of all, the final hand boss has a bunch of things that get summoned, so having some sort of AoE is pretty cool. You kind of need a tank. It's not exactly a shocker there. You don't really need a healer, but you do need some form of sustain. However that comes about is, you know, kind of up to you. So Gyachi is really cool. He has a big shield, pretty easy to reason about. Like, it's not exactly the most complicated boss on the planet or tank on the planet to understand. Basically, what he does is he gains a bunch of shield, and then he gains some defense as well during that time. And then after 4 seconds, any damage that was reduced as a result of his defense is dealt as ethereal damage and an AoE around him, which is kind of cool. Karina, I actually don't understand the point of her. She has Omni Crit, I believe. Yeah, so that's her big claim to fame. So I guess just stack a pile of damage on her and hope that her final arrow doesn't suck. But I find that a lot of the melee classes, their abilities, like their active abilities, don't actually mean a whole lot. Like, why would I bother? So really her claim to fame, I guess, is that she has Omni Crit. And she's ranged. I don't know. Seems kind of useless. Naka will scale based on shield. He has pretty good base stats. Acts fairly quickly. Ralph has Omni Crit, has some sort of AoE cone thing. Very exciting. Magma sets things on fire. Korra, I think, is more for scaling with summons because of her shield. I don't know. I find trying to rely on these sorts of things for healing is a fool's errand, so we're not going to bother. So this is kind of interesting. He taunts, inflicts shocks, and heals based on bonus HP. But his overall base stats are pretty low and crappy. I don't know. The nice thing about Magnus is because he applies burns, there's different characters like Pyro that will scale off of him. Anyway. But his base HP is pretty low. He doesn't really have any other redeeming qualities. His mana regen's fairly high though. Kind of interesting. Let's go Gyachi and Magnus. Healing for flaming and cash whenever you change origins is pretty cool. Relics can be very strong. Can definitely enable a lot of stuff. Patience fruits is pretty straightforward. I almost never take pyramid. I guess it would mostly depend on where the store positions are. So if I was going to like drift through here, could definitely be useful, I guess. Yeah, the gaming side of things. You're right, Kajab. So a bunch of gold can be cool. I think it's one of those things where let's see. I find that the power level increases from having a bunch of trophies that aren't major. Let's try out the pyramid. I'm sure somebody's gonna scream at me and be like, what a noob. All right, so let's go. So in Act 1, We are mostly concerned about damage output. So Marco makes things bleed, which is kind of cool. He also gets much a crit if he's far away from people. Layla's bear is kind of a pseudo tank. I don't actually understand how she works otherwise. Yeah, that's basically it. She shares a health pool with the bear though, so things like rapid recovery actually probably trigger quite frequently. Kiro, his big deal is this 4-second AoE blast thing. His Sanguine Rupture attack, although it does a cone, is not something to be focused on in my opinion. Excuse me, holy crap. I don't think I need another frontliner, but I don't really care about Marco either. They're both kind of bleed enablers. Let's just go with Kiro. All right, so here I'm gonna take the Great Axe because basically in Act 1 I feel like damage output is more critical than activating skills. What's up, Smokey? My win rate continues to be abysmal, but I feel like I'm making some degree of headway. So at one point in my life I'd be very excited by mana regen, but in this scenario I don't think I actually care that much. Bringing Gyachi up to 9 is nice and all for his extra shields, but at this point I'm more concerned about damage output. Go ahead and grab the heavy helmet and we'll go ahead and throw that on Gyachi. I think right now, because Magnus has a higher attack speed than everybody else, I'm gonna throw the Great Axe on him. I think strictly speaking that results in better... Oh wait, he doesn't actually have higher. No, he does eventually because of his passive. I wonder which is better then. 0.5 is not actually that much of a difference, and we'll probably get more value out of Bloody Intervention. We'll see. Alright, so things here. Typically I try not to have one dude tank two dudes, but because Gyachi doesn't have a tank, or a taunt rather, we're gonna make sure that he's kind of up close and personal to everybody else. And the way this game works is that the last dude you touch ends up being the focus for the mob when they're both equidistant to each other. So Gyachi goes in first, and then Crabman will come in on the back. So totally fine. Okay, so Kassar is basically just a stun machine, which is fine. Blake is a burn generator primarily, but his other claim to fame is that his Molten Knife actually grows based on attack damage rather than spell damage, so you don't really have to split your goals. So that might be kind of cool, a little extra flame. Igor has two things going for him. He produces burn as well as frost, but it's kind of random as to what happens, and he'll consume frost to heal himself, which probably isn't necessarily the best plan. And his burning axe deals pretty decent base damage, but I don't care. Just for visibility, Kajim. Surge. It's not something I'm a huge fan of. Seems like you have to put a lot of effort into it, and in Act 1 seems really bad. Healing received is not gonna do anything for me, especially since I don't have an origin that has any effect there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reroll here. The reroll cost did get changed. So we got some interesting stuff here. So every second the wearer deals ethereal damage equal to their defense. Could be okay with Gyachi if we actually end up scaling his defense, but on its own, probably kind of mediocre at the moment. Healing for 4% max HP below 45% is also maybe okay. And then Blazing Trident with its critical hits is probably irrelevant because I've got two dudes who actually generate burn already. So if that's the thing I want to force, so be it. Now, what's easier to scale is, I guess, the question. I think in general, defense is probably gonna have a bigger payoff for Gyachi just because of what it is. But it's not going to contribute anything to his survival. I'm always hesitant to make a choice like that. Like, the damage output is fine and all, but let's go through recuperation. I'm gonna try something different here. Get that going here. Go this way. Got a bunch of dudes. I don't really like the idea of tanking so many guys. Let's just split them. I don't actually care if Blake dies that much, to be honest. Let's do this. More concerned about Crabman and keeping the two defense dudes separated from each other, I think. Okay, so this is very interesting. We've got Pyro here, which scales off of a flame, which means that Kiro's probably going to be our second frontliner, so I'll probably want to increase his defense, I think. It's always really good when you have a bunch of melee people around, and Eslo, I don't actually really understand the point of him. Guess if you have a lot of shield, that's okay. His always damage can be really crazy. So Pyro scales off of his flaming meteor. This is where I start to get into a weird decision-making process here. So inflicts 2 burns, applies 4 burns, and then scales based on burn stacks. So is it better to cast more spells as Pyro, or is it better to apply more burns? Well, the fact that they're willing to put that much effort into it implies that he's a threat, for sure. So this is kind of annoying. I want the Jade Dagger, I think, for this guy. But I think that's actually a trap. I think that's something to look for in the long term. But in the short term, I probably still want to just focus on overall damage output and just flat defense related things. None of these are particularly good. 1 mana regen doesn't really change your world. Okay, so the improvised staff is actually interesting. So in order to get the equivalent of the improvised staff on Pyro, as well as noting that he's going to have 2 more max mana, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the universe. We need 25 stacks of burn per 1 flaming meteor. That 2 extra mana is going to delay his cast by 2.5 seconds, something like that. Because basically he attacks 0.8 times per second, so it's gonna have to be, you know, some multiple of that, which is probably fine. So let's maybe grab the staff. I should have looked at the final boss. So this guy has a couple adds. He's also going to attack the lowest health dude I have. Magnus is probably going to get cut in favor of Blake. That is the balance to be played, Cat Jam. Okay, interesting stuff here. The Templar is kind of nice if you have a whole bunch of mana regen, which I don't really have at the moment. So I'd get 26, or sorry, learn the math. I get 13 times 8 shield on 2 heroes, so it's a little under around 100, I think. Long term, I'll probably increase the mana regen on Gyachi. Whatever. Now, inflicting the twice amount of burn at the cost of 10% attack speed is actually pretty interesting because it does scale Pyro. Does mean that we're going to be throwing a lot more effort behind Pyro, and I might want to move the improvised staff elsewhere. Getting a bunch of critical based on bonus mana regen is kind of whatever. I find that crit, barring some specific circumstances, is not something to build around. I've had some success with time travelers. Gadgeteer, I guess if you already have high crit, is okay, and then Portal Master is probably interesting as far as the tanks are concerned. I mean, did it work for them? I'm gonna go Dragon Rider. I usually try to stick to something defensive, but whatever. And we'll go ahead and enchant the recuperation necklace. Am I Taylor Swift? No. I wish. So we still have the pyramid. We've got an early shop here, probably for maximal use, try to get it there. Or I could try for a better origin, but I don't think I care. She can't wait to go with me to the con. How much does it even cost? 3 days, screw that. Oh, it's like 40 bucks, whatever. She's listening and watching. Oh, hi, Miss Hollywood. Man, this game is loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. All right, it's probably a little bit better. So these three dudes, they will AoE, so if you overlap them, they're kind of annoying. I'm not sure if I have the damage output to do the Fragment of Truth. I don't think I do, so I'm probably going to avoid it. I'm pretty sure that Gyachi can take on 2 dudes at one time. He's much more well lubricated than I am, so we'll go with that. And who's going to do the tanking here? Blake is actually a really bad tank for this. The funny thing is that I may actually tank with Magnus because I don't care. All right, Gyachi's getting rickrolled. Boom! He definitely needs more hit points to survive. Speaking of which, the Wearer's attacks have a 20% chance to gain 25 defense, which is kind of okay, except for he attacks really slowly. It also reduces his max HP, which is not conducive to this necklace, which feels like a bad plan to me. I feel like energy pole arm should be really good, but I don't have any dudes who actually care about max mana. Her word, not yours. Okay. 35% shield receive is kind of an obvious combo with this, but he doesn't cast it frequently enough for me to care that much. I think we'll have to work on his mana regen a little bit. Crystal Mace scales indefinitely, but you gotta have the critical strike to do it and the baseline spell power to actually make it do something, which is kind of unfortunate. It's the guy who I probably want to lean on only has 5%. And the other caster is also kind of in the same boat. The Warlock book is okay. Lose a bunch of hit points when round starts, but maybe I don't actually care that much. Would definitely allow somebody to cast a little more frequently. You also don't have to update it or upgrade it. So, I mean, it might be okay. The only problem is it doesn't really contribute to damage that aggressively right now, so I'd probably have to throw it on Pyro if anybody else. I feel like this is actually a mistake. Whatever. So the last few points of mana regeneration tend to be really like mediocre. So we're at 1.5 seconds right now. So the way it works is it's like a 10% reduction or something. It's a little faster than that. So you start at 1 mana regen, which gives you 1 mana regen every 10 seconds. And then if you have 10 mana regen, it's 1 mana every 1 second. So to go from 7 to 10 mana regen is going to get me a half second. Which, depending on what items I end up getting, is maybe not worth it. This is interesting. Coral Heart will scale things. So Molten Stone is an idea. It means that I can't scale indefinitely, but it does mean I start hard. Maybe I don't care. Let's just grab Coral Heart. I really should have probably grabbed the defense stuff. All right, so there's 2 buffs here. I think I want to go with the Orange Flame. I think maybe I should have used the Pyramid before that, but whatever. All right. It's probably worth using a few trophies here. Interesting. Ethereal Amplification is probably going to be the choice here. We'll throw Yachi into the pit here. I really wish I had more defense for Hero or something. The problem is he's melee. It's just gonna kind of fall over. All right. I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit here. I was just seeing who this guy was targeting. I want him to go after Gyachi. Ideally, all these guys are gonna take out this dude who's gonna give a defensive bonus. The only problem I think is what's gonna happen is they're gonna focus on the elemental dude in the back rather than the guy up front, but we'll see. Yeah, so as expected, that guy got deleted, which is good. I moved all the items over to Blake or Blaze or whatever his name is, so I managed to get through that without too much trouble. So every 5 attacks, the wearer gains 1 attack damage for each shock and frost. I have neither shock nor frost, so that's going to be complicated. The Thundering Helm would enable that in the future. I don't have any stun either. I think this also does something else. Yeah, 1.5 chance per shock to stun their target for 1 second per cast. So the bosses, though, they have a thing called tenacity, which means that the stuns are less effective than they would be. I'm not convinced that you can stun lock people. I wonder, is it good to put the Shielder's Cloak on somebody? This is really not doing a lot of work because his health is pretty low. Okay, this is interesting. So every attack the wearer consumes a burn on the target to gain 40 max HP and heal for the exact same amount, which is going to be good for Gyachi if I can actually get a decent item for him. If push comes to shove, I can move the Great Axe over to him, but I think for now I'm gonna avoid doing that. I don't have any bleed. Oh, I do have some bleed, but it's not significant. Because you haven't refreshed. All I can imagine. So Tome of Bleed maybe isn't the best. 1% attack speed for every 2 trophies that I have is kind of okay. It would be nice to kind of counter Dragon Rider, but whatever. I don't have any summons, but what could potentially happen is later on I could maybe get Seahorse Relic or something, but taking this when it does literally nothing is probably not the best plan. So I guess Troll Mace is the only thing that makes sense to me anyway. Okay. So I've got some choices. I think I'm gonna see what Blake gives me here. It'd be really nice to have this surge thing on somebody else. Every critical strike, he gains more crit. He's actually got a fairly high critical already, which is kind of nice. So that might be of value to pursue. She's gone. I don't think the mana regen makes a lot of sense. So I could take defensive surge and then use that and swap it to somebody else later. Finally. My God. This guy. I really need more defense on somebody else. I think for now I'm just going to keep sacrificing Magnus and we'll focus on other things. Okay, damage output is actually not awful. We're doing okay. Okay, so this is an opportunity for me to get something. I have decent flames, so we can re-roll a few times and see what happens. Stone Mace is actually okay. Sure. All right, good. We got another one. I feel like the spell power defense thing is a bait. Much prefer something else. Tempted to use the caster's amulet somewhere, but again, I think it is a trap. All right, heavy mace is pretty cool. Also the heavy armor is pretty cool. What does this even look like right now? 50-50. All right, let's grab this. So Kiro's looking kind of okay. It'd be nice if he had more like 100 defense, but 50 for now is fine. Okay, so this is an opportunity to swap passives around. We'll swap the defensive surge. Whoa, I don't want to re-roll. Oh no, I selected the wrong thing. I'm an idiot. All right, I literally wasted that entirely. Awesome. Oh, I day trip it. It's only 2 hours. It's like whatever. Oh, that would have been a huge improvement if I hadn't misclicked. Okay, definitely gonna go for the shop. Gotta remember the pyramid. But we're gonna take a look and see what's going on first. So we've got some slots for dudes who don't really achieve anything right now. So Magnus is kind of useless, I think. I think Blake's gonna do more than enough work. He requires 3 less mana. He produces kind of the same burn trajectory, so I don't know. But does anybody else offer anything that matters? I don't think it does. All right, I don't think anybody crits enough to really take advantage of Darko's blade. The Conqueror's Mace is pretty cool. If you got a slow enough attacker, it can ramp up pretty hard. But in this case, it looks like it's might take forever. your average fight is about 20 seconds long if you're really being generous. This is basically functionally equivalent to 120 attack power, which isn't bad, but it's not startlingly great. Surge, I don't really have anything that uses surge that well right now. The war staff can be really angry depending upon who's using it. This stuff is kind of whatever. If I had frost, I might think about that one. This is interesting. So the wearer heals themselves for 25 per surge level every 3 seconds, which isn't bad. The Titan shield is actually okay. I think if I had somebody like Neria who actually cares about surge level, it would make a lot more sense. Sanguine Blade doesn't do anything for me. The Shielding Dagger can be okay. So I think the best thing here is actually the Conqueror's Mace. And I'm not convinced that any of these heroes really changed my life as far as options are concerned. Now the baseline items themselves, Stone Mace might be okay. All right, let's grab the Conqueror's Mace. Those of the Surge are pretty cheap. It might be worth it just for 120 defense, at least the potential of it. Is gaining a shield equal to 128% attack damage worth it? Every 3 attacks though? Might be okay for Kuro in the end, but that's what? 100 shield every 2.4 seconds? Yeah. You're actually better off going with the shielding hood, I guess, in that case. That's something to think about then. I just don't know how to evaluate the incoming damage because you don't get like a readout of damage that's coming into your face. Anyway, it would have been really nice if I had stuff. Okay, either way. Let's grab this for Gyachi. We'll strap the stone scale ring to it. So that'll keep his max HP going up, and coupled with the recuperation necklace should be okay for his survivability. We still got this Conqueror's Mace, which we gotta stuff on somebody. I think that somebody's probably gonna get or be Blake. I don't think the pistol matters. I don't know how to evaluate the novice bow. 12% attack speed just does not seem significant to me. I kind of like the idea of throwing the gold ring on Pyro. Kinda. Just to get his health pool up a little bit. I'll definitely get this either way. Heavy Mace could probably go on Kuro. I don't really care about his active. Yeah, whatever. Let's just do this. And we'll throw that on that. So Blake should get pretty spicy. I'm not convinced that Magnus matters as far as gold is concerned. I might just hang on to what gold I have and hope that whatever shop I come to next has better options. So this guy's going to attack whoever has the lowest hit points anyway, which is going to be Magnus, which I don't actually care about. So go ahead and kind of throw him off to the side. My 2 tanks are going to do their business. let's roll it. All right, you can see the burn being eaten up by Gyachi there, and Blake just destroyed. Okay, some interesting choices here. So I don't really like Magnus, but Chris might be okay. So there's a couple of different things going on here. First of all, Magic Potion is actually pretty good, especially if you manage to scale Chris's spell power to something pretty crazy, because it does target the lowest hit point guy. Elriel's different in that she does an AoE heal, but the thing that annoys me about the AoE heal is that it's not smart enough to hit like whoever's the least hit point person. Usually that's somebody in melee. But I don't know. Whatever. We can try out Chris. If it doesn't work out, we just swap him out for somebody else. So this is interesting. Crown of Life. The only problem with it is it's every 6 seconds, which is honestly friggin' awful. If I look at the health from that last fight there, including the stone scale ring, we've got what, 1800 hit points. So that would be healing for 90. Now it is 90 to everybody, which is kind of cool for keeping people topped up. So maybe Crown of Life plus Chris trying to keep people up makes sense. But I'm not totally convinced, to be honest. I've seen people use Night's Edge, but I don't actually understand the use case for it. You have a new custom Billy outfit? What did you ask for? Okay, so Mammoth Collar is kind of fun. Basically, you just try to attack as quickly as possible because the amount of damage that you do is only based off of ethereal amplification, the amount of damage that you can, or the amount of attacks you can push out. So throwing it on somebody like Chris, who actually has a fairly high attack speed, is kind of funny. Actual tactical outfit. I don't think I've ever actually used the orb staff. It might be something you'd stick on Pyro, but I don't see the point. Maybe it's something to work with. Maybe it'd be worth it. Captain's Necklace. It is a damage increase. I don't really have any ethereal damage dealers other than Chris, but that's just based off of the active ability. Gyachi's got ethereal amplification. If I hadn't screwed it up, maybe putting it on Blake would make some sense, because I can swap defensive with the debuff. And why would I have alert command? It's totally useless. Ba, ba, ba. Maybe just tossing it on Chris would be funny. Could move the gold ring over. Acts really quickly. Sure. Let's try it out. Be interesting. I don't actually really understand the point of Buddy's Tooth. Demon's Claw is pretty straightforward. Losing 20% hit points can be good stuff. Genie Lamp, a lot of the higher end items are really expensive. Saves you like 150 gold to purchase. And Firewood lets you enchant a lot more stuff. And 2. I don't want to try to kill as many elites as possible, which basically means we have that path, which means we're going to have the shop right off the bat, so it's probably not great. Firewood then? Alright, let's get rid of Magma Dude. And we'll get Gyachi in there. What the hell does he do? Oh, he's one of those split damage guys. I don't want to see Blake die. Let's do this. Can I fragment this and survive? Seven life leech. Does it even matter? Versus a 3% heal. Like 14 healing per second versus 70-ish every 6 seconds. Okay. Let's just roll with it. What do we got here? Crit hits and crit hits. This is actually kind of interesting. Another ability that I could probably swap off. Every crit, the hero heals ethereal damage equal to their defense of the target. Imagine if I hadn't screwed up the defensive surge. That would have been cool. Imagine life. Okay. Let's grab Golem Force. I think this is fine. Maybe there's something I haven't thought about. Yeah, Mammoth. Get that ethereal amplification. There goes Gyachi, but that's okay. Fire Cloak! How much burn did I put out? 8? How did I only put out that much? If we're gonna lean on Pyro, then there's maybe an argument for the Fire Cloak. Also, Gyachi will use it to scale. So I've kind of got a problem here, right? Because I guess Gyachi is gonna steal it faster than Pyro can use it, so Fire Cloak makes sense. I don't think I thought about that well enough. Some interesting stuff going on here. Jalen, melee support. Zanmar is kind of fun. I don't think it's worth swapping out Chris, though, for it. We definitely need something to stick the Fire Cloak on for Gyachi. Don't think any of this is really that interesting, other than maybe the Caster's Hat. But it's too expensive for me to get, which kind of sucks. Regeneration Staff, so I go up to what, 0.9 seconds for mana regeneration in exchange for going to 12. Which kind of sucks, I guess. It's 20 seconds versus 12 seconds. So I guess that's actually not bad, but let's take a look at what we've got here. Pin shield, I'm not really surging that much. Double edge X, whatever. It's actually pretty wild. I guess it'd be better if I was using ethereal damage. Great sword. 2 attack damage per 1% missing HP. I actually like Gola. Crown of Life, already talked about that. Might be more valid now, if only because of the stone scale ring, but see where things go. Spellblade, pretty cool in some circumstances. There are characters like, well, Zanmar scales off his spell power, so having him get some attack is kind of cool, but I can't afford it anyway, so whatever. 200 max HP and receive a heal for the same amount. Very cool. Sphinx Blade, whole bunch of attack and incoming damage and max mana to go with it. Sure. Craft a dagger might be fun. 12% critical chance to lose 6% attack speed. Stacks 3 times. Don't think I care that much. It'd be nice to take advantage of this Conqueror's Mace a little better too. Makes me wonder if it's better off on Kiro, actually, come to think of it. Although Molten Knife will scale. Every 4 seconds he'll do 450. Whatever. I think I'm gonna get the regen ring or the regen staff for Gyachi. It is gonna push him up to 12 mana, but it is going to double his incoming mana regen, so it's probably okay. And 36% attack speed isn't gonna do him any favors, especially since the max attack speed is gonna get that much worse. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna regret this, but here we are. Perfect. Let's proceed. Attack the lowest HP guy, which is gonna be Pyro. That's unfortunate. It's because I moved the health ring off of him for Mammoth Collar. I move it back right now, I think. It's slightly worse, but I think I'd rather see Pyro live over Chris and Blake. Blake, though, would be kind of nice. He might be okay. With this in mind, is there any strategy here that matters? I guess as usual, try to distract as many people as possible, and I'll just kind of rely on these guys to pop that one as quickly as possible. All right. Okay, that actually worked out just about the way I expected it. You can see the burn is going a lot more crazy here, which is excellent. So Gyachi's taking full advantage of the stone scale ring, and the scaling on Pyro is pretty okay. So that means that Blake actually serves no purpose anymore, because his secondary ability was really the only reason I was messing with him here. So there might be some value in swapping him out for somebody else, I think. Maybe Helmet. I wonder if there's value in getting a jade knife and throwing it on Pyro. Putting up to 9 mana might be okay as well. Give him more max HP to keep him kicking. He doesn't have much in the way of defense. The best I can do is swapping heavy armor on him, which will put him up to 46. give him 11% more reduction. He shouldn't be in the line of fire anyway, so we're just trying to deal with incidentals. So maybe this is fine. Improvised staff probably belongs on Chris because I don't care about anything else on that individual. So let's do that. It's probably cool. I don't have any gold, so going this direction makes no sense. We'll head up this. So the Dragon Rider stuff continues to be pretty cool. What have we got though? 10% of the team's spell power, capped at 300. This might actually be a big deal. So we had 168 spell power from that. So that was what? 16 defense plus whatever baseline everybody else is at. So 20 defense would probably go quite a long way to helping me out. Heroes and effects inflict twice the amount of burn though. I guess all I end up getting is faster spell power out of it, which is inflating the value of that origin. I think I just sit tight then. Okay, I'm really interested in Gyachi's survival, so stone scale ring is definitely a thing to consider. I do have firewood as well. We'll get the fire cloak up and then I'll rest to bring my flame up. I don't think I care about the rest of it. So I'm gonna head this way. We've got some choices to be made. Drop an item, get stuff. I don't think I care. All right, what are these guys doing? They heal nearby people and they deal damage to nearby heroes. So we gotta keep them separated. Gotta keep them separated. Don't pay no mind. Interesting. He only scales off of defense, so I guess that's how it's gonna be. This is gonna be awful. Gyachi's gonna have to do some work. Who is my sacrifice today? Probably mostly Kiro. Try to keep Pyros safe. Gyachi's pretty tanky, but he's not gonna be able to hold on forever. Oh, he actually literally just nuked everybody on his own. Okay. Well, that's good. This is what I like to see. All the other heroes that have a shield gain 40% of the wearer's attack damage. Pretty cool. Mr. Blake has quite a bit. The only people with a shield though are Gyachi. 15% lifesteal, 3% attack damage per missing HP. Could be pretty good on Kiro. Keep him alive, acting as my second tank. Sure, what the hell? Let's go ahead and combine these two. All right, swap passives. Okay, good. This actually, let's see what Gyachi's next passive is. Interesting. Additional ethereal damage equal to all stacks of debuffs on the enemy. So I probably want to swap that to Blake because he just attacks a lot faster, and we'll leave the claws on Gyachi as well. Okay. Swap passives. Additional damage. Swap with defensive surge. Okay. I think that's the right path to take. We need to worry about these fragments of truth over the next 2 acts as well. This is a bad one. Gotta keep Pyro pretty safe. Gachi should be fine. I'm hoping that Kuro is now tanky enough to not fall over in 3 seconds. Let's go for it. Kuro's barely hanging on, but it's enough. Okay, spell damage equal to max mana is kind of fun. Kind of win more on Pyro, so not really that useful. We could throw it on Chris, work on scaling their spell power up. Also, because I don't actually care about their max mana, it may make some sense to get more improvised staves. We could also get a war staff as well, which would help with that. I mean, it's not healing everybody, but usually not everybody's taking a crap ton of damage all the time. This is a card game? No, it is not. It's ancestral. It's a decision-making game. All right, Tome of Shielding. Good for Gyachi and not really useful for anybody else, but that might be enough. Malachite. 650 points. Would just give Pyro a bunch of juice as a result of him having more items than everybody, which is maybe not what I'm looking for. No, decision on which buttons to push. I feel like this is kind of interesting, but having to sacrifice a relic for it is craziness. I'd really like Malachite to be better in this situation. I think Tome of Shielding is the play. Okay. So what do I have to enchant? This thing and this thing. This I don't actually care about that much. It's well priced, Estradal, I think, too. It's not a, you know, $60 or $70 game or whatever. I think for what it does it really well. I'm thinking going to the campfire might make the most sense. Let's see what this event is. Receive a passive swap for 10 flame. There's maybe an argument for flipping that over here, but it's not like he's really scaling defense, so who cares? I want to keep my gold though, because I'm still missing just a ton of options. Alright, we're not going to learn cool magic. Alright. Spellweaver. Spell power equal to 20% of the hero with the highest stuff, which is probably going to be Blake. So he gets a couple hundred attack damage pretty easily. So that's another 40-ish spell power, which isn't really going to change my world. Storm Force, I don't stun, so who cares? I don't have any frost. Critical strikes with ethereal amplification will decrease Gyachi, as well as a little bit of stuff here, and also the Mammoth Collar, which is kind of fun. I don't critical strike that much, so I think I'm keeping things as they are. All right, so that was kind of an easy choice for sure. Gain spell power equal to double max mana, so every 3 seconds we're going to get 20 more, which heals a lot better. And the real question is, do we get 4 more mana regen? Sure, what the hell. That may have been a mistake because it's going to make Pyro a lot more vulnerable in the beginning, but should get healed. Yeah. Okay, so if I remember correctly, yeah, so this crystal needs to die. What does he do? Okay. So this is probably fine. I'm gonna use the fragment and hope for the best. Yachi's doing work, but he's also dying. All right, my off tank died, but I don't think it matters. I think we're doing pretty well in general. Damn, not bad. Not bad. That's a huge amount of spell power. Yeah. Interesting. So Blake doesn't really serve a purpose right now other than just flat damage output. Like, he's not really cranking out that much burn anymore, and Gyachi does everything I need to, and he's only okay because he's carrying the Conqueror's Mace. So if we move the Conqueror's Mace to Kuro, might actually be better. Especially given that he's got some lifesteal. Okay. So that means Blake's on the chopping block. So what we could do is we could bring in Jalen for melee support, get that shield spice, which might make sense to move the Lightbringer over then, which means that Chris is losing some of his value. Does that just mean Jalen is straight up better here? It does mean that he's going to be melee, which is not amazing. But I think this is fine. So if I do that, and then I move that there, maybe that's okay. Is Pyro not going to cast enough anymore for it to matter, though? As he loses the book? Maybe I don't actually care? So when they die, they don't die permanently. What ends up happening is it takes from this flame resource in the bottom left here. Every 4 seconds, the healer wears for heals for 200% spell power. Additionally, when they overheal, they get shield. This is actually very interesting. And the reason being is that Pyro has a lot of hit points potentially using that. Which means he may not need as much support via things like the caster's cloak. Yeah, so there's shops where you spend your gold. You can see the gold down here to get items and other heroes. You've got trophies which allow you to level up heroes to give them either more passive stats or different passive abilities. And then you can swap heroes in and out as you kind of see fit. I think throwing Starshine on somebody makes a lot of sense here. I might need to keep Jalen alive though, which sucks. Maybe Gyachi's enough. And Pyro just doesn't matter. Because Jalen's going to be up close and personal. He needs to be a better tank. This might make more sense. Is there an end game? Yes. You kill the final boss. So there's actually two final bosses. There's the end of Act 3. And then if you manage to collect these fragments of truth, you face the fourth boss, which is the true ending, as it were. All right, hero with the most defense gains 55 more defense is probably going to be the right choice here. Hero with the highest max HP gets 38% of their max HP to all heroes, including themselves, which is kind of interesting. It'll cost me a relic. Maybe there's a relic I don't care about. Let's just take a look. Probably the troll mace, if anything. Exactly, Zestral. It's totally random. Yeah. So you can see here, it's like Slay the Spire. So you've got choices to make in terms of pathing. I still don't have a ton of gold. The Act 3 elites are very angry, but that's okay. So it probably makes the most sense to do something like this. And then I can pivot there. Alternatively, do I want 2 enchantment cycles? I think I'm mostly okay. I do. So this amount of burn is pretty obscene. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I don't really like the idea of him tanking all 4. So we'll try to distract at least. Yeah, 2 of them's fine. Swap out Chris for Jalen as expected. And hopefully this will be the right play. Unfortunately, I screwed up on that. An 800 shield plus the Tome of Shielding is pretty good. Alright, probably the right play. We're gonna have to work on Pyro scaling a little bit, but in general, that survivability boost is massive. I think I'm probably gonna swap the Conqueror's Mace onto Kuro just because he has the AoE. Sacrifice some hit points. Hopefully that doesn't make him too squishy. I did not actually see the Backpack Battler game. I know you talked about it though. It's kind of the same idea, I guess, in a way. Okay. So what do I want to do with dudes here? So Blake is kind of useless right now. He's just a big damage dealer, which is all well and good. Pyro could use some juice in the form of mana regen. So let's see what we can dredge up. Looks like we're not going to get lucky yet. Is there anything else that I need to think about? It doesn't look like it. More defense might be nice for Hero. He's okay though. Monothematic is an English word. I think it's probably worth it to try and push for a mana regen item. Jade daggers are pretty good. But I'm gonna need at least 9 regen. Which is this. So I need another book, ideally. Is it actually worth digging for? Minus 10% cruise with Mammoth Collar, but I don't think I actually care. Mammoth Collar can probably move to Blake. Does that make sense? Ends up doing 0 damage. That's fine. Yeah, this is probably okay. All right. Jalen needs some spice. Omni crit is a big one. Versus 10 spell power per cast. He has only 5% crit chance, which is inconvenient. So that probably means the giant potion is better at the moment. That sucks. Oh well. I'm gonna give Kiro some love if he's gonna stay alive. Every 4 seconds he does a bunch of ethereal damage, which means magic steel actually works off of it. The additional attack speed actually works against him because of the way Conqueror's mace works. I think I want to do magic steel. Let's hope for the best. I think this guy just does conal damage. Yeah, so what we want to do is just kind of go beside him instead. Felt pretty good. Interesting. War Staff is a big deal here. So you gain spell power, but you actually gain max mana as well. So I don't have another Lightbringer. So that's actually not useful anymore. 2% lifesteal is whatever. Attack speed, yield to 35% of spell power. Also don't care. The mammoths? Those were mine. Still got quite a bit of flame, so I can afford to play around. Magic Blade might actually be a big deal here. Some critical strike chance. So Magic Blade and Lord's Dagger kind of fit the same niche. I don't think Titan Shield actually matters. I think Yachi is more than capable of handling himself now, especially with Jalen backup. Magic Blade is probably going to be the choice for Pyro. It might be a little win more though. But he does have low enough... low enough attack damage. You use the flame for certain events. You also use the flame for re-rolling. So this button here requires flame. Every time a dude dies, you lose flame. If the flame ever goes to 0, you lose the run. So it's important that it isn't 0. I feel like Magic Blade's actually bad here. Like I think Pyro gets enough juice just through his own scaling that it's not worth pushing it. Let's see what else we got. Whenever the wearer deals a critical strike, they gain 10% shield received. Actually kind of fun. Could be okay on Kuro. The rest is whatever. There's maybe an argument for Bone Trident to get Gyachi be stronger. To be stronger, rather. Can you earn the flame back? Yes. By defeating bosses, by resting. Different options. Interesting. So every critical strike gain 1 mana. I wonder if Serrated Fists would be fun on Kuro. I guess the only problem is he has magic steel. You can only rest so many times, and it only gives you 25 or 30 back, I think, something like that. I think I can still afford to reroll a few more times. Yeah, we're fine. 600 max HP. It's cool. Warlock's Book is whatever. Blood Drinker is very interesting to me right now. I might put the Blood Drinker on Kuro, because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's very close to doing the double activation if I upgrade it. My stream delay disappeared? Nothing's changed, man. From my end, anyway. This is trash. Oh. Twitch does what Twitch wants to do. Okay. This is what we're doing. Survive. Blake is still on the chopping block, but I don't think Chris or anybody else is a better choice right now. At least until I get some items that tell me to do one thing or another. Or over another. These guys are really annoying. When they focus on the same target, they just wreck people. So, I don't think Gyachi cares, though. I think he's just going to deal with it. This is actually really awkward. What if... Dude, yeah, okay, I can't have him turn the other direction. So I've got kind of a problem here. My main burn scaler is Gyachi, and Pyro doesn't really have an option here. Maybe this is fine. Let's put Blake up front. This is probably all right. Oh my gosh, Gyachi got nuked. Why? Holy crap. Alright, well, whatever, I guess. Could have gone better. It's a jade knife. Moving the mammoth collar elsewhere makes sense. I'm going to be able to rest up in just a second here, so we can afford to be a little more aggressive than I otherwise would be, I think. Not looking good. It's kind of annoying you get the same items again. There we go. All right. So move this over to here. Should be mostly okay. So Pyro's gonna pyro a lot more, which is good. Blake is just gonna be a mammoth generator. So at this point, it would be nice to get more attack speed on him, I guess. It's fine. It's not a good item, but maybe I don't actually care that much. Sure. Okay. It's probably fine. Okay, so my passives. Those look pretty okay. There's maybe an argument for swapping this over to Gyachi. Although I'm pretty sure that 20% amp damage is going to do a lot better. So who cares? Magic Steel's going to be the play, I think. See what he gets. Their damage equal to spell power is kind of interesting. Giving everybody else mana is also kind of interesting, except for it's not controlled. Blake I don't care about from that perspective. Kiro I don't care about. Gachi and Jalen will be alright. Yeah, whatever. Let's just Astral Sword it. We'll re-roll one of his passives, because I don't think Golem Force is going to end up being a thing. Funny. I might take Defensive Surge just for keeping him safe. Sure. Okay. So, Dragon Rider is still pretty okay. I don't have much in the way of healing, so that doesn't work so well. Crit chance doesn't do anything for me. Reborn's kind of cool, admittedly. But the only one that really takes advantage of it is Kiro, and he's already got really good lifesteal on his own, so whatever. Stick with Dragon Rider, I guess. Deal damage to the enemy with the most burn equal to the amount of burn on the enemy times 225% mana regen. That might actually make a lot more sense than anything else right now, because Gyachi's the main burn generator. So he won't generate 200, he'll generate 100. And then my max mana regen is what? 10, 20, 30, 31 or so. So 31 times 100 is a crap ton of damage every 4 seconds. I wonder if that makes the most sense. Then that affects Pyro's survivability via Magic Steel. I kind of want to do it though. Times 60. No, we'll just stay the way we are. Just swapping this for Blood Drinker makes sense. It does. All right, let's rest up twice. We're back in good shape. I've got decent amounts of cash, so that means we're probably going to hit up that shop on the way. The alternative is I get 2 shops. 1,000's actually pretty good. If we find another enabler along the way, that's pretty cool. So 1,000 gold is enough for 2 items that I care about. Sure. This is a thing. Basically the gimmick here is that the damage output is shared between all the heroes hit, which is unfortunate. I don't know if it makes sense to keep Pyro back or not. I think it does. I mean, he'll get tanky eventually. He's just not going to get tanky right off the bat. Okay. This is not awful. No, Blake! Man, Jalen's mana regen takes some time. Alright. That was pretty okay. I don't have any shock and bleed really that means anything. 14 bleed over a 30-second fight. It's pretty bad. But it is every single attack. I don't care. Elysian Mace might actually make sense here. So Blake is usually hanging back. Do you want to just try to abuse Mammoth Collar and give it a shot? Could be fun. %, attack speed, but lose 25% damage. I've only got one dude who cares about attack. The 2 lifesteal bonuses are pretty spicy too. Ghost pepper it. Okay. So Blake can get replaced at any moment, depending upon what shows up here. I really like Joanna. Really solid AoE. Attacks pretty quickly, decent crit, good base stats. Could totally be a candidate for replacing Blake. Also, heroes don't cost a lot in this. Another J Dagger might be cool. Bring Pyro down to 3. You basically cast every couple seconds. Might make a lot of sense. For each burn, get some critical strike damage. Well, Blake doesn't crit anymore because he's using Mammoth Collar. Also doesn't scale particularly well, so that's off the table. Vengeful Helmet is useless. For -1 attack speed is kind of okay. Bone God, 3% attack damage, stacks 25 times. You get 75% more attack damage. Don't think I care. Healing everybody for 5 times mana regen. Could be cool. Vengeful Shield, also useless right now. Every attack the wearer deals with zero damage equal to 3 times the amount of frost and burn on the enemy. Couple hundred per hit is kind of fun. For 146 might be worth it. We don't have a lot of opportunities to burn gold along the way either. So that could be fun. Just go like Jade Dagger, Orcish Axe, Ritual Axe, and throw it on Blake and just make him an attack speed monster. Is it worth it to drop 3 mana regen? So if I lift this, it's 1.43 seconds. So I lose 1 mana every half second in exchange for 2 seconds of cast time reduction. So that makes sense. I think this is good. And then the question is whether or not the Orcish Axe on Blake makes sense. We'll attack significantly faster, which will help out with Mammoth Collar. The Elysian Mace is kind of fungible. I'm a little concerned about Pyro's health right now. Whatever. Alright, let's do this. I feel like it. I always feel like I'm screwing myself. Alright, let's roll. Okay, defensive dude, really goddamn annoying. He like retaliates or some crap. Yeah, corruption. Increases the amount of damage people end up taking. Give me more elephants, Blake. You're attacking so fast. How is the 30% so bad? How did Kiro even die? Maybe there's an interaction I missed. Oh, he's attacking super fast now. What the hell? Why? Oh, because of freaking Ghost Pepper. Boo. Boo. Maybe worth taking High Mountain Ring. The Magic Steel from Tome of the Surge might be okay on Pyro, just to keep him kicking. I've made my choices. I don't think this is good enough to face the final boss, but we'll see. So the Beholder deals more damage the closer they are to them. Fortunately, I believe he prioritizes the farthest guy away, so as long as nobody stays in this corridor, it should be fine. Okay, so Jalen's gonna get nuked, but it looks like we nuked him first, so all good. Lots of pyros, that's really good. If I could get like a healing cloak or something by the end, that would be amazing. Don't think I'm gonna get that lucky, but we'll see. This stuff I don't really want to spend flame on, so we'll just grab whatever. Roll a passive or try to flip somebody. We only have so many trophies left. We've only got 2 more zones. So what I could try to do is go back, and then I could level up Magnus and Chris and see if we get an interesting passive off of them. And then maybe consider flipping. Yeah. Frost on crit. I don't think I care. Frost does do some increased spell damage stuff. So I mean, could put it on somebody else. But yeah, out of these choices, freezing attacks is the choice. What does Chris offer me? Bunch of whatever. Restorative Strike could be fun though. Alright, let's get rid of Magnus. Get back some of my trophies. Let's see. Can I get Kiro up? I can. Okay. Let's do that. Chance to stun. 12% lifesteal. Okay. Well, I was going to put Restorative Strikes on Kiro. But I think we're just going to leave Brawler's Rage on him. I see no reason to do otherwise. So what would I like to see if I got rid of Astral Sword on Pyro? I'd like to see the healing potion. That's what I would like to see. Yeah. Which I don't get. Wah wah. Alright, I got $500 to burn here. Did we get something cool? Ring of the Storm is actually pretty wild if you actually have a way to enable it. This is actually maybe pretty good. Just big damage output. All right. I think this is as good as it's gonna get. I don't have as much flame as I would like. So the way this works is this dude, we've actually already faced him before, where he splits the damage amongst all the different dudes. Now, I believe what happens is he will target the group that is the most like efficacious. So he'll attack Yachi for the moment, and then he'll breathe down this line. But we'll see. I think we get rid of Chris. I don't think there's any purpose. It gives me 3 trophies to burn, which I can use here. Spell steal, sure. All right, let's give it a go. Yeah, so that's exactly how it works. Perfect. So I think Pyro will scale hard enough that it's not going to matter how crazy this guy goes. Yeah, that works fine. Recruit a hero. I have no ability to use any of these people in any meaningful way. Rose is kind of like Jalen, arguably maybe better than Jalen, if it weren't for the Tome of Shielding. Zog will give people mana, I guess, if they're shielded, which is kind of fun. Too bad I can't steal the spell shield from him. Shell Ring is huge. Flameborn's also very cool. I don't think my damage output is very good though. I almost feel like maybe Flameborn makes a lot of sense. No, it does not, because I don't generate the same flame as I used to. All right, Shell Ring it is. I think that makes the most sense. Hopefully one day I'll actually learn if it matters. Bleed Orb. Don't think does anything for me. Ethereal will help me with a bunch of different things. I guess Pyro ends up never actually attacking in the end. He just ends up casting indefinitely because of his low mana plus his fairly high mana regen. So does that unironically mean that bleed is maybe the funniest choice here? Whatever, let's grab poison. Okay, we're on to the big bad, so let's get Jalen up and running here. Magic Steel and stuff. He doesn't actually do any damage, really. So for him, I guess the best possible outcome is attack speed. Sure. That's all I've got. All right. So, this thing throws a friggin' orb and it's super lame. Deals a bunch of trash. I think strictly speaking, I want him over here for the ads and this. And hope to God that Kiro can actually hold on and not get annihilated. Well, let's see if we've got enough spice. All right, I can kill the ads fairly quickly, which is good. Good scaling on Pyro. Kill the ads, excellent. Going in there. Bam, great victory. We got there. Not bad. 1 hour, 46 minutes to get to the end of this nonsense. Getting Jalen was a huge piece, but I just flipped some items around, so it's not like that was really some crazy luck pull. We could have used Rose, I guess, in the same spot as well. Would have had to be more careful about who was tanking the hand, I think, in the end. Pyro did his job. Really, really strong. He shielded everybody a crap ton. The flame enabler on Gyachi was very good. Everybody was doing a bunch of ethereal damage. Seemed good. Thanks, Nikoko. Biggest disappointment, Kiro, strangely enough. 530 attack damage is strangely not that significant. Eh. Yield for a lot. That axe did a lot of damage. Holy crap. That was actually a fantastic choice in the end, I guess. With the extra burn stacking for the ethereal, it was pretty spicy. All right. Might be getting slightly better. We'll see. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Gonna call it a night. Stay cozy. Hope to see you again. See you around.
Sealed shut. What of the passage over there?
Amazing.